Koh Tao, a small island in the turquoise sea of Thailand, was once known as a tourist paradise with fine white sand beaches and clear water. However, one morning in September 2014, that peaceful beauty was torn apart by a horrifying discovery. Two young bodies brutally massacred on Siree Beach. Hannah Witheridge, 22 years old, from Hemsby, England, is a girl full of life. She had just graduated from the University of Essex and wanted to enjoy a holiday before starting a new journey in life. And David Miller, 24 years old, from Jersey, had just completed a student exchange program in Australia and decided to spend a few weeks vacationing on the island of Koh Tao. They arrived on the island on different days, with different groups of friends, but fate brought them together on the evening of September 14, 2014. At a seaside bar, amidst the music and chatter, they happened to sit at the same table. No one knows exactly what they said to each other, but according to security camera footage, they left the bar together around 1 a.m., walking on the sand under the moonlight. Maybe they just planned to go for a walk before returning to the hotel. Perhaps they are laughing and enjoying the free moments of youth. But no one expected that it would be their last time alive. At dawn the next morning, a beach cleaner accidentally saw a haunting scene. Hannah's body lying motionless on the sand, her clothes disheveled with terrible wounds on her body. Nearby, about 12 meters away, David's body also lay motionless with signs of being brutally beaten and drowned. The incident immediately shocked both the local community and tourists present on the island. Police were mobilized and sealed off the scene. The injuries on Hannah's body showed that she had been raped, and there were bite marks on her skin, a macabre detail. Near their bodies, police found a pickaxe and a bloody wooden stick, believed to be the murder weapon. Questions immediately arose. Who could have acted so cruelly against two innocent tourists? Why were they murdered so brutally? And was this a random attack, or is there something more sinister lurking behind this crime? News of the case quickly spread not only in Thailand, but also shocked England. Hannah and David's family was stunned when they received the bad news. They sent their child to a tourist paradise, but received news that their child had been brutally murdered. On Koh Tao Island, the atmosphere became stuffy. Tourists panicked, some of them hastily booked tickets to leave the island. Local residents are also worried, because such a serious case could affect the image of the island, where tourism is the main source of income. The Thai government was under enormous pressure from public opinion and the British government. Koh Tao is a popular tourist destination, and such a horrific case could severely impact the tourism industry. The media continuously reported, while Thai police urgently investigated to find the perpetrator. But do they really seek justice, or do they just want to end the case quickly to appease public opinion? The answer remains a mystery. As news of the murders of Hannah Witheridge and David Miller spread around the world, pressure mounted on Thai police. The public, especially those from England and America, could not understand. How could two young tourists be brutally murdered on a tourist island without anyone hearing anything? Who did this? And more importantly, will justice really be served? In America, when a crime occurs, we expect a methodical investigation. The scene is strictly secured, evidence is carefully collected, and the process of seeking justice is transparent. But on Koh Tao, all of that seems to not exist. The first witnesses described a chaotic scene. The bodies of Hannah and David remained lying there, while tourists continued to walk on the beach, some even taking photos and posting them on social networks. The police arrived hours late, and when they arrived, they did not properly cordon off the scene. In just the first few days, serious mistakes took place. The scene was disturbed. Residents and visitors were able to access the area before the police completely blocked it. Evidence was collected carelessly. The police found a pickaxe and a wooden stick believed to be the murder weapon, but did not thoroughly check the surrounding areas. Pictures of the victims were leaked. Horrible photos of Hannah and David are released on the internet, causing even more pain to their family. This is not just carelessness, it is also a disregard for justice. In America, an investigation like this would never be accepted. The pressure from the Thai government is huge. Koh Tao depends on tourism, and if tourists feel it is unsafe, the island's economy will collapse. Therefore, the police have a single goal: quickly find the murderer, regardless of whether it is the real killer or not. Instead of considering all the theories, police immediately focused on one small group: Myanmar migrant workers. They organized a strange hunt. Thai soldiers went around the island, using cotton swabs to take DNA samples from any Burmese men they encountered. Imagine that happening in America. If a murder happened, could the police go door to door to arrest all the Latin immigrants just because they looked suspicious? This is completely contrary to the basic legal principles of human rights and innocence until proven guilty. When DNA from the scene did not match any of the first people tested, police turned to two young Myanmar workers, Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun. They were arrested without concrete evidence. They do not have access to lawyers. They were questioned for hours without an official interpreter. And then, the police announced that they both confessed to the crime. But 5 days later, when a human rights lawyer from Myanmar visited them in detention, they both recanted their statements. They said they were beaten, locked in freezers, threatened. "We could kill you right now and no one would care." This is not justice. This is a staged case. As people who believe in justice and human rights, we cannot sit idly by and let things like this happen. If these two young men are truly innocent, then the real killer is still free out there. So what can we do? Put pressure on the US and UK governments. British authorities have expressed concern about the investigation, but they need to take stronger action. As global citizens, we can ask embassies and international organizations to reinvestigate the case. Support human rights organizations. Organizations such as Amnesty International have spoken out about this case. Please support them by donating or spreading the word. Call for transparency in the Thai judicial system. The Thai government needs to know that the world is watching. The more people who know about these injustices, the more likely it is that the truth will be revealed. Hannah and David deserve justice. And if Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun are truly innocent, they also deserve to be set free. When you travel, you want to know that if something happens to you, the police will find the truth, not just find someone to plead guilty to. If you believe that justice cannot be distorted by power and money, speak up. We cannot change the past, but we can fight so that these mistakes are never repeated. Please share this story. Ask for transparency, and let's ask together justice for Hannah, David, and all those who have been abandoned by a system rife with corruption. When Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun were brought to trial, many people thought that the Koh Tao murder case was coming to an end. Police announced they had found the culprit, had DNA that matched the crime scene, and had a confession. But for those who care about true justice, this case has no sense of truth, only the smell of a cover-up. And then, a name appeared in the discussions, a name strong enough to make both the police and the Thai government keep quiet. Mounted. In America, when a big case happens, we believe that the law will work fairly and without favoring anyone, no matter who they are. But on Koh Tao, things don't work that way. The islanders know that there are things they cannot talk about. Those who have lived here long enough understand. Montat and his family control everything. The Montat family owns most of the bars, hotels, and services on the island. They have extensive relationships with local police and even have the power to distort an investigation to their liking. And most importantly, they own it Leo Bar, where Hannah and David were drinking that fateful night. But how could a man like Montat be involved in this murder? When the police announced that Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun were the killers, there was one detail that was ignored. The first people to discover Hannah and David's bodies were Montat and one of his cleaners. Why was a wealthy businessman present at the crime scene so early in the morning? The more I learn, the more unanswered questions I have. Why was Montat allowed to freely enter and exit the scene while the police were collecting evidence? Why did the police completely ignore the investigation of the employees working at Leo Bar, where Hannah and David were before their death? Why, when a witness, David's friend, claimed to have been chased by Montat and the police after the crime, did no one investigate? If this case happened in America, prosecutors and the FBI would never allow these loopholes to exist. But in Koh Tao, no one dares to touch the name Montat. The islanders do not want to be involved in the case. Those who spoke out quickly withdrew their statements or left the island. They know that if they talk too much, the consequences can be very bad. Thai police seem to only care about one thing: close this case as quickly as possible. Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun, two poor immigrant workers without powerful families to protect them, without good lawyers by their side, became the perfect scapegoats. But can we let this happen? As Americans, we believe in a transparent legal system. We believe that a trial must be based on facts, not political or economic pressures. But in Koh Tao, justice has been sold cheaply. If Montat was involved in the case, why didn't the police investigate? If the police truly believed that Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun were guilty, why did they have to torture them to extract confessions? And if the Thai legal system cannot protect the innocent, can we stand by and do nothing? Ask the U.S. government to intervene. If this case happened to an American citizen, our government would pressure Thailand to reopen the investigation. We can sign petitions asking the U.S. State Department to speak up. Support human rights activists. Organizations such as Human Rights Watch have repeatedly condemned false investigations in Thailand. By donating and sharing information, we can help those who have been wronged have a chance to receive justice. Spread this story. Hannah and David's story is more than a personal tragedy. It is a testament to a system manipulated by power and money. If enough people know about the truth, the pressure for justice cannot be ignored. If Hannah and David were murdered by powerful people, we cannot let this case be buried in fear and silence. If Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun are truly innocent, we must demand a reinvestigation. And if the Thai legal system fails to do its part, then the world and those of us who believe in justice must be the ones to speak up. Share this story. Don't let the truth be forgotten. When Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun entered the courtroom on July 8, 2015, they weren't just facing murder charges, they were facing a system that was rigged against them from the start. In America, we believe that a trial must be fair, that each defendant is entitled to legal protection, that a person can only be convicted when there is irrefutable evidence. But in Thailand, these two migrant workers never had a chance to prove their innocence. Because this trial is not about finding out the truth. This trial is to protect Thailand's image. From the beginning, there were too many signs that this was not a fair trial. Defense attorneys have limited access to information. In the U.S., prosecutors are obligated to provide full case files to the defendant. But in Thailand, the team of lawyers defends Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun. Case documents can only be viewed immediately before the trial, a 900-plus page report that they didn't have time to analyze. DNA evidence shows signs of manipulation. Initially, the police confirmed that there was DNA from the two suspects on Hannah's body, but when a re-examination order was issued, they announced that there are not enough samples left to retest. How could this happen in such a serious case? Serious human rights violations. In the U.S., if a suspect claims to have been coerced into confession, the entire statement can be rejected. But in this trial, the court ignored testimony about torture, still considers the original confession of the two suspects, a confession that they retracted as soon as they had a lawyer to defend them. On December 24, 2015, the court ruled Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun were sentenced to death. Imagine this happening in America. Imagine if the police did not investigate properly, had no solid evidence, no credible witnesses, and then the court still imposed a death sentence. This will not be possible. The public will be outraged. Human rights organizations will condemn. And the case will have to be reopened. So why didn't that happen with Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun? The answer is very clear. They are poor immigrant workers. They have no voice. They have no power. For the Thai government, finding them guilty means closing the case, protecting the tourism industry's reputation, and turning international attention away. But this is not justice. This is a political execution. If we truly believe in justice, if we truly believe that everyone deserves a fair trial, then we cannot be silent. Demand an independent investigation. The U.S. and British governments must apply pressure to reopen the case with the participation of international investigators. We need to ask the United Nations and human rights organizations to monitor the Thai justice system. Call for amnesty for Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Heitun. Organizations such as Amnesty International have spoken out against the death penalty. Sign petitions, send letters to the Thai embassy, and demand a fair trial. Don't let this case be forgotten. Media plays an important role. Please share this story. Let everyone know that two innocent young men are being punished for a crime they did not commit. Justice cannot be the prerogative of those with money. We must remember that Hannah and David deserve justice. And justice doesn't mean finding someone to blame. Justice means finding the truth. If we truly believe that no one deserves to be executed for a crime they did not commit, then this is the time to speak up. Don't let justice be buried under the pressure of tourism and power. Don't let those with money decide who lives and who dies. Take action. Let's demand justice now. When Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun were sentenced to death, international public opinion began to calm down. Thai authorities hope that it will end here. The two perpetrators have been arrested, the verdict has been announced, and Koh Tao's tourism industry can continue to operate as if nothing had ever happened. But those who care about justice know that the truth has not yet been clarified. And what happened next proved that the island is more than simply a tourist destination. It's a place where death and mystery become part of life. While the families of Hannah Witheridge and David Miller are still grieving their loss, more tourists are starting to meet similar fates on the island. Nick Pearson, 2014, a young British tourist found drowned at the foot of his hotel just months before the murders of Hannah and David. His family requested an investigation, but the police concluded accident without checking security cameras or performing a proper autopsy. Dimitri Povs, 2015, a French tourist found hanging in his bungalow. The strange thing? His hands were tied behind his back, but the police still declared it a suicide. Christina Ansley, 2015, a British female tourist, was found dead in a hotel after taking medication and alcohol. When her family asked for toxicology tests, police said they were lost the test sample. These are no longer random accidents. This is a series of deaths with no reasonable explanation, and the scariest thing? No one was arrested. No one is under investigation. As news of mysterious deaths on Koh Tao spread, Western tourists began calling the island by a new name, Death Island. The Island of Death. Tourists who have been here share their experiences on travel forums. They talk about the presence of a powerful group controlling everything, the terrifying silence of the local people, and the irresponsibility of the police. If a murder happens in America, the FBI will immediately intervene, the scene will be protected, and the suspects will be thoroughly investigated. But on Koh Tao, it took police only a few hours to declare every death an accident or suicide. This is not a legal system. This is a cover-up. Think of the families who lost their children, brothers and sisters on this island. They flew thousands of miles to Thailand, hoping to get answers. But all they got in return was silence and absurd explanations. Why hasn't there been an independent investigation? Why is evidence constantly lost? Why did the Thai government rush to close these cases without finding the truth? We cannot let this continue. The question is no longer that, what happened to Hannah and David? Again, the question is, how many other people have been killed on this island without anyone knowing? So what can we do to help? Demand an international investigation. The US and British governments had to intervene. If American citizens are killed abroad without a proper investigation, we have the right to demand answers. We need to put pressure on the Thai authorities to cooperate with international investigators. Warning to tourists. If you're thinking of traveling to Koh Tao, think again. Please warn friends and family. Please share this story on social media. Put pressure on the media. These cases do not appear often enough on major news channels such as CNN, BBC, or the New York Times. Send emails, call on journalists to investigate. If we don't talk about it, the truth will forever be buried. If an American or British tourist is killed abroad, we cannot let the local government do so decide whether they are worthy of investigation or not. Hannah and David deserve justice. Zhao Lin and Win Zhao Tun deserve a fair trial. The other victims on Koh Tao deserve to know the truth. And if we don't speak up, how many more people will die before someone is held responsible? Share this story. Don't let these deaths be forgotten. The deaths on Koh Tao were not just personal tragedies, they are warnings. A system rife with corruption, where justice is bought and sold, where those in power can kill without being held accountable. If these deaths happened in America, justice will be served. But on Koh Tao, the victims became just numbers. Accidents, closed by the police without any real investigation. This cannot continue. If we stay silent, there will be many more victims. How many more families will have to bury their children without ever knowing the truth? We need to speak up. We need to put pressure on the U.S. government, on human rights organizations, and on international media. Because justice is not just for those with money. Justice must be for everyone. Don't let Koh Tao continue to be the island of death. Let's demand justice now.